Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Shotam Raha, and in this video I'll talk about the string class in Java. So let's get started. So in Java you can create a string in two ways. One of the way is by using string literal, okay? And the second way is using the new keyword which we are all familiar with, right? Okay. Now let's see how to actually create a string in Java using the string literal. But before that, you should know that string is basically immutable. Okay. So let's see what all these things are, right? Let's do one thing. Let's simply create a string using the string literal. Okay. So we can do it like this. Let's say string s equals to, say for example, my name Shottam. Okay, now you see, when you write this in Java, this is actually a string literal. Okay, now you can create a string using this statement. So what happens behind the scene? Let's see. We already know that there is something called as the heap memory, right? We already know it. So in heap memory there is also something called as a constant pool. Okay, so what is this constant pool? So whenever Java finds the, basically the JVM finds a new string literal, what it will do is it will create an object in the constant pool. What do I mean by that? So when I write this, when this line is executed, what happens is JVM will search for the string literal Shottam in constant pool. Okay, whether it is already present in the constant pool or not. So in this case, there is no entry in the constant pool, no object in constant pool. What it will do is it will simply create a entry with Uttam. Okay. After that, what it will do is it will return the reference to S. S is a reference variable. We all know it, right? So the reference of the object which is created in the constant pool is actually returned to S here. Now say I am creating another string which is R, and let's say again I am using the literal Shottam. In this case, what will happen? So again the JVM will check for the string literal Shottam in the constant pool first, right? So it will find it. So what it will do is it will not create another object in the constant pool. It will simply send or return the reference, which is the same reference, to R. Okay. Now you can see that S and R are both pointing to the same object in the constant pool. Okay. Now, why is this happening? Or how is Java implementing this? See, JVM is actually trying to optimize the space. It is assuming that the string literal Shottam can be used in future. That is why what it is doing is it is saving it in the constant pool so that it could be referred to in the future. Okay. But along with this optimization, one thing must be assured. What is that? That is, the string must be made immutable. That is, string class should be immutable. That is the reason why string is immutable. The reason is, if for example say string was not immutable, that means say string was mutable, what would have happened? What would have happened whenever, say, in the future, maybe, okay, before that you need to understand what immutable means. Many of you may be confused with the concept of constants and immutable. So let's take a new page. Let's simply take a new page. Okay, so you see, constants in Java can be written using the final keyword, right? Say final f, maybe a variable, sorry, final say int f equals to say 10. Okay, now if you try to change the value of f to 9, for example, this is an error. Why? Because this is a final variable, that is, it is a constant in Java. Okay, and a constant's value cannot be changed, the variable cannot be reassigned, the variable f cannot be reassigned. That is an error. Now this is with constant or final, right? But what is immutable? Say I'm saying string is immutable, so string s equals to say raha. Okay, now what we can do is we can reassign something to s, and it's completely okay. It is not an error. Meaning the reference to a immutable variable can be changed or can be reassigned. But in case of final or constant, it cannot be done. So what does immutable actually mean? When I say immutable means it cannot change. What do I mean by that? The meaning of it is, say a string is a maybe a array of characters. Now you see, say SATYAM maybe. Okay. Now you see, say this is S. If I try to change something inside the object, say I want to make it R, for example, this is an error. We cannot do it. This is the meaning of immutable, meaning the object itself cannot be modified. You can reassign new objects to the variable, to the reference variable S. That is perfectly fine. But once assigned, this Shottam is assigned, I cannot modify the contents of it. Suppose I want to concat Raha with Shottam. Okay, so if I want to do that, I have to refer to S equal to S dot say concat is a method. Okay, S sorry, so Raha. It will work like this. But if I would not have written this particular thing, say I would have written s.concat raha, then what would have happened? It would not have saved it, because s.concat raha would have returned a new object with Shottam raha. So Shottam raha would have been actually created by JVM, and this new object, not the earlier object. Earlier object was Shottam, was referred to by Shottam, right? But here this Shottam Raha is a new object, and so I need to reassign it to S. Otherwise, it would have been lost. Okay, so this is the meaning of immutation. Immutation means it cannot be modified. You can reassign it, but the content of it cannot be modified. Okay, fine. So I hope you understood the concept of immutability. Now let's go back to the earlier page. Now you see, here what is happening is, say this was a string was mutable, then what was a problem that would have happened? The problem is, maybe in the future I would like to reassign something, say Orythrika to R. If I did that, what would have happened? R and S was actually pointing to the same memory location, right? Now, when I make R equal to Orythrika, what would have happened? It would have replaced Shottam with Orythrika inside the constant pool, and thus Shottam would have been deleted. Now, if that would have happened, what is the problem? S would be pointing to Orythrika now. But did I want that? No. I wanted S to be pointed to Shottam and R to be pointed to Orythrika. But in this case, what have happened? Since the same memory location was being pointed by S and R, if I updated R, so Orythrika would have removed or overwritten Shottam. Right? So this is the problem. This is the problem, right? So I hope you've understood why strings cannot be mutable, right? Now let's say this is a heap memory, and inside this, these have been created. So this is how you create a string using the string literal. But now say I want to create a new string using the new keyword, I will simply write string s equals to new string Shottam. Okay. When I write this, what happens behind the scene is, again in the heap memory. Say this is the heap memory. I have a constant pool. This is the CP constant pool. Now it will again search for the literal Shottam in the same way as it did in the earlier way. Okay. Now it will search for Shottam. Now it has not found Shottam, so it will create an entry with Shottam here. After creating that, what it will do is it will create a new object inside the heap but outside the constant pool, and now it will simply create an array of characters, and now what it will do is it will copy each character one by one into this, say S A T Y A M, like that. Okay. After that, it has created a new object. So two objects are actually present, one inside the constant pool, another outside the constant pool. Now what will S point to? S will point to the object which is created outside the constant pool but inside the heap memory. Okay. So this is how an object is created when a string is created using the new keyword. Behind the scene, this actually happens. So there is two objects. Why did it create Shottam in the first place in constant pool? Because it assumes that in future maybe another assignment of Shottam would be required. So with that assumption, what it did, it actually created an entry in the constant pool. Okay. So if maybe it found Shottam in the constant pool, what it would have been done? It would have created, say for example, string say r equals to a new string Raha. If this is the case, sorry, not Raha. Raha would be the same logic. Say Shottam. Now it finds that Shottam is already present. What it would do? It will simply create a new object, and inside that it will create an array of character, and it will again copy all the contents into it. So there will be a new object in the heap memory, but outside the constant pool, and R will now point to this. Okay. So this is how you actually create a string in Java. Remember, string is a class and it is present in the java.lang package. Okay. But I think you most of the IDs actually imports it by default, so I don't think you need to import it manually. Okay. So in case if you see that there is an error, you can simply import it using java.lang.star or .string. This is a class. Okay. And remember, this is a immutable class. There are other immutable classes like integer is an immutable class. Okay. Float is an immutable class. Boolean is an immutable class. Okay. There are double is an immutable class. So there are lots of immutable classes, but the string is very important in Java. Okay. That's it for this video. Hope you liked it. Thank you. See you in the next video. Bye.